Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Tux TV. I am your host, Jimmy Tux, and I wanted to do a little live stream today about the evolution of my new logo. I got a new logo last week. I put it on display, showed it to a couple people, and like, wow, that's awesome. You know, it's awesome because it has a history. As you know, I have the persona of Tuxedo, a nice, classy little bow tie on a formal wear. That's my motif. It's been kind of my motif as a gamer, as a hiker, a backpacker, and my alter ego. So the logo that you saw on the, for instance, this page here, which used to look like this here, has had a nice little evolution. And 2 videos have popped up today about the evolution of the Bible and Jesus specifically. So I wanted to talk about how my logo evolved over my lifetime to where it is now. And then do a little contrast or juxtaposition of how that influence could be amongst people just making their way through the world 2,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, etc., etc. So the first clip I'm going to show you is this guy right here. This is a game called Sacred 2, and there was an Inquisitor in the game, and this was one of my favorite Dungeons & Dragons type games of all time. I played it pretty regularly about 10 plus years ago, about 13, 14 years ago, actually. And I had built 2 Inquisitors up to level 200, which is where it maxes out. I was working on a 3rd and I stopped playing the game. I've lost the gig stick since. Who knows where it is. But this is what the character looks like when you start out. It's very monk-like. It's named Inquisitor. And they promote, he was one of the kind of the marquee players of the franchise. This is a clip of him in the promotional. And as you can see, a hooded character. And he was kind of an all-around melee, partially mage type of player. He could cast a lot of spells where, like, the build that I was working on when I quit playing, it almost got boring because once you got past a certain point, building up to about level 45 was tough. But once you got past 45, I mean, the guy would just cast spells and his army would just follow him around. He also had this character, this spell that he could cast that was himself in an invisible form, but was zealous. And it was just a fun character to play. But the problem was it got too easy. Like, you just cast a couple spells, just walk around. That's all you had to do. You never really had to do anything. The hard part was getting that character built. So this is a similar promotional video from the influence of him. See, he emerges from whatever this is, gets an opponent, and it's fight. Fight. And that lightning spell was a pretty good method of getting rid of your enemies as well. So that was my influence. Then there was another similar game that I had actually played before that, but it didn't have as much influence, but I always loved the character. There was a shadow assassin known as Artemis, and he was a really fun character as well. And again, a hooded, he could cloak and turn invisible. And that was one of his his secret spells. And I also played another game called Starfleet Commander that they had this character that came out somewhere around 2011, 2010, 2011. And this character would be there for a daily basis when you logged in and you got a free thing. So you'll recognize this as actually where I leached the logo. Now he looks a little different. He's a lot more blue. And I also played another game where I used him as my logo, but he had lasers and a yellow bow tie. And then you can see I blackened him out or shadowed him out and added bow tie and laser as a contrast. And so that's kind of a carryover to how he got to this as a thumbnail. And of course, the influence from pop culture from growing up. This scene, for instance, from the Return of the Jedi, when Luke is introduced as a hooded Jedi. You also see him at the end. The last time we see Luke Skywalker, he looks like this in the Mandalorian series. And he's basically cloaked. And so my image has been a combination of the Jedi or the Sith or the Inquisitors. This is one of the last times we see him in one of the post. I think this is episode 8, which is not my favorite. And then I found this humorous. I found this earlier today.
Feeble skills are no match for the power of the dark side.
Cute. That's cute. Isn't that cute? And then, of course, in episode, I believe this is episode 1, where you have both the Emperor Palpatine and the Sith Lord, Darth Maul. So how does that tie all into Christianity? In Christianity, there was an evolution of other religions that definitely influenced the Jewish faith. You definitely have Canaanite gods, you have Egyptian gods, you have, I believe, Babylonian and Syrian gods, all kind of coming together to make the religion. And there is an evolution that started something sometimes simple or just kind of a modern contemporary update. And you would just see, if you kind of step back away from history, you kind of see that evolution, the influences, all of those come together to make what is this. I don't know if I can share this one though. I hope I can. I can. So that it comes to this here, which is, might I say, it's a little bit of AI and a little bit of editing, shadowing again, and away you go. And here's the thing. That's not me. But its evolution and its influence is me. From outside, the outside world coming in. And I want to compare that to Christianity. 2 videos have come out today. Atheologica just dropped this video roughly an hour ago. And it basically, I was already preparing to come online, and basically it was perfect. So Derek at Atheologica, I invite you to come onto the show anytime. I hope you see this someday and say thank you for saying exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking. So, let me find... Oh, I can't find it. Here it is.
Even more unlikely that he should fit them by chance, and his followers would invent a religion that contrasts with their former religion after his death on a cross.
Unless it has both thoroughly Jewish traditions as well as alternative Hellenistic Gentile traditions, because of the fact that this is a syncretistic, evolving, and changing movement. Like, maybe that's, you know, the thing that scholars have been saying for literally decades, if not hundreds of years now. So you could run with that very reasonable, plausible, evidence position. You could run with that, but I mean that's not good for the faith thing and the big warm swelly feeling in the heart. I get it.
Derek, you're so funny.
Go on with your bad self.
You're so funny.
Just wreck this train.
When we weigh theories against each other, we want the...
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. And then we also had this one from Dan McClellan, who dropped this one today about Professor... I don't know. His channel is called at the Bible for Normal People. All one word. The Bible for Normal People. And the spelling of the word for, but not the number 4.
But even then, the content of these 3 sections didn't seem to be a settled matter yet. It was fluid. In Jesus' day, for example, the book of Psalms wasn't even finalized yet. The Old Testament was accepted in stages. The Torah was accepted long before Jesus' time. Same with the prophets, but a little bit later on. But the process was messy with plenty of disagreements. Ezekiel and Ecclesiastes, for example, were argued about by rabbis because they were thought to possibly contradict Torah. The New Testament canon is murky as well. It wasn't until the 4th century we have an actual canonical list of books. It was a process that took hundreds of years. Those decisions were not made lightly. It involved accepting known books that had gained momentum and were familiar to their audience. But they were not canonized until later on. It's fair to say the canonical process was about recognizing the role certain books already had in the community and tradition. But the canon did not create the church, as some say. The church created the canon. It was a very human process.
So I've got no notes for Pete. I think that's a wonderful video. I appreciate his making it. You should follow Pete at the Bible for Normal People if you are not already. His video also gives me a wonderful opportunity to remind everybody of my upcoming online class, which is precisely on how we got the biblical canon. And that will be Thursday, April 6th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm going to do about a 1-hour presentation over Zoom, followed by about 30 minutes of a live Q&A. And it will be recorded, and everyone who registers, whether they attend or not, will receive a link to download the recording the next day. All I'm asking for registration is a donation of whatever you feel like. So if you'd like to join us for $1, you're more than welcome to join us for $1. If you want more info or you want to register, you can go to my new website, mcclellan.org, MAKLELAN.org. You can find information and registration for this class. You can also find the recordings of the previous online classes that I've taught.
Beautiful. Okay. What do you think? You think the evolution of God's word was I am God, and he picked up his pen and his paper and he wrote it down, scribbled on his paper. He wrote it down and he handed it to Peter and said, "You're my rock. I want you to spread this around." Or did it have influence from other things and then it evolved and then it influenced and it evolved again? And you kind of have this weird, did the word of God come from the chicken or the egg? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Well, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for watching. Bowtie bless you.